been taped and everything, so.
You all set? Okay.
All right, you
Still
being
got
that it
people
is
coming in.
after 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock, I'm sorry, we are going to call this town board public hearing to order. The fire exits are outside that door, each end of the hall, and there is a defibrillator across the hall if needed. Our clerk, please do the roll call.
Hurlbut.
Here.
Mail. Here. Volkel. Here. Jaeger.
Here.
Buzz.
Here. All right, we're gonna start off with the introductory local law number 5. A local law proposing to amend chapter 454, article 1 of the Code of Town of Hamilton, 7 minutes read as follows. It's a definitions of camping units, campsite, house trailer park. If you have a thing, that first one is talking about definitions of what is trailers, different kind of trailers, tourist camp, travel trailers, parsons. Is there anybody who wants to comment on that? Yes, I'm sorry, state your name. Since we're not gonna be coming to the podium, just stand up, state your name, and we'll take whatever comment you got. I'll give you a couple minutes to look at it, you're fine, if anybody wants to look at it.
So Brad Couch and copier.
Okay. We didn't have a very good description of what trailer was, it was kind of confusing in the whole thing, so we spelled it out enough. Last call, does anybody have anything they want to comment in this public hearing on that, on the first one, just the definitions of camping trailer, house trailer, trailer park, tourist camp, travel trailers? Being as no one wants to comment, I'd like to request the town board resolution to close that portion of the public hearing.
Second.
Hurlbut.
Yes.
Mail.
Yes.
Volkel. Jaeger.
Yes.
Buzz.
Yes. Okay, on to the next one. Introductory local law number 8-2023, local law proposing to amend chapter 454, article 6, trailer situated outside parks or camps, according to 454-22 of the Code of Town of Hamilton. Said amendment to read and to provide as follows. I'm not gonna read the whole thing. This is for storage. About how you can store your camping trailer. Does anybody have any comments on the storage of camping trailers? Or would you like me to read it?
I have questions, I don't know if I'm
Yes.
allowed to speak.
Yes,
Here,
absolutely.
Okay.
You can speak as much as you want.
So, looking further down at 454-20E, shouldn't E be up with storage of trailers, seeing as how you added the verbiage of for storage of said vehicle? It wouldn't be a use, so it shouldn't be under use restricted like it used to be. It's now qualifies as storage of vehicle.
E on the next page on the
On
next law.
454-20 use restricted. You added the verbiage, it didn't used to be in there, you added the verbiage for storage of said vehicle, meaning it can't be used for sleeping or, so shouldn't that come up to 454-22 storage of trailers, if now you're saying that particular piece of the code is for storage only, not for use?
So she's saying we have that for storage, she said.
You know, I see what you're saying. We're reading it. We're gonna answer your question.
Oh, that's fine,
We're reading it
I
right
just-
now.
that's something I noticed.
Guys, if I may, oh no, wait, we're not finished yet. But just because the very first thing you said, I think it's a red flag to a lot of us about the 3 acres or less. Because of the fact that it's such a detailed 6 pieces of paper report here, that's not in there. So that's kind of a red flag there to us that, is that gonna be changed? Is, you know, we kind of need that peace of mind of that's set in stone.
It will be changed when we do the thing tonight later on, yes. It's kind of in there, but it's very vague. We had that 2 acre, greater than 2 acres. We should have put between 2.
Is it possible that because of the little kickback you guys already got, you decided to change your mind? Or was that always the intention?
No, we just kind of didn't read it good enough, because we said 2 acres, so we didn't word it well enough.
Okay.
We'll get to that. We'll get to it.
All right.
I don't think it makes any difference where it
I have a thing to see. As long as it's in the law somewhere with the 6 months, it doesn't matter if it's in one section or another section. Yes, it's easier to kind of combine them all together so you can see the 6 months under the storage, but, that's what he's.
I don't see-
To see if we just leave it where it is, so it can just go get approved or we combine it and look at something. So that's what Steve's checking.
Okay, I have another question.
Sure.
Go
So
ahead.
about the storage of any unlicensed trailer, the 454-22A, can that trailer ever be used? Like, it's in storage as an unlicensed trailer, let's say for 7 or 8 months? Is it able to come out of that storage state and then fall under the 454-20? Does that make sense? Like, if you have an unlicensed trailer you're not using, you
Right.
store it on your property, but
Right.
then come July, you wanna use it, does it then, can it come out of storage and then fall under 454-20? It can.
Yes.
Yes.
So if I have an unlicensed camper, it can be on a property.
Yep.
Without permit,
Correct.
and then just when the time for use comes,
For storage, you could store an unlicensed camper.
But then if you're using it, a licensed camping house trailer, B, I think
for 454-20B, it doesn't say it has to be licensed.
Correct. You're correct.
So I could have an unlicensed camper on a parcel, it's in storage, come July, I take it out of storage, then I know I have to follow the 454-20 with the 14 days and the 15
Correct.
days.
Correct.
When I'm done with it, I put it back in storage, still unlicensed.
Correct.
It can remain on that property without being fined
Yep.
or without getting a permit.
Yes.
Thank you.
What's our law on license, storage, unlicensed trailer, unlicensed trailer? That's what I would say too. You get a price for All right, you asked us two questions. We talked about the one question about sleeping in the unlicensed trailer. Yes, we agree with you on that, okay? We just talked with amongst us, that yes, for 14 days, unlicensed, you can, if you took it out of storage for 14 days, you can stay in there. Now, what was the first, consecutive, yes. What was the first question again? Because you gave it 2 weeks, just.
That you already answered the first part.
Change
Oh.
the order of the order.
As far as moving that, I mean, it's in the law.
That's fine, I was just curious.
Yeah, it's in the law, so it's in there, it's not a separate thing, but it's in there.
Okay.
Any more questions about the trailers for that? Have we skipped the storage? About the storage? All right, at this time then, request town board resolution to end the public hearing on introductory local law number 8-2023.
So moved.
Second.
Probert,
Yes.
Snail.
Yes.
Poco,
Yeah.
Jaeger, Paz.
Yes. All right, now we're gonna talk about, we might as well use part of that now. Introductory local law number 9-2023. A local law proposing to amend chapter 454, article 6, trailers situated outside parks or camps. 454-20 of the Code of Town of Hamlin, said amendment to read and provide as follows. Does anybody have any questions on that one? No, you're fine.
Karen Corbett.
Yeah.
So it says to, 454-20, looking at B, to occupy a park for use for up to 14 consecutive days. Do they have to be consecutive? Like if I wanted 2 days, like a Saturday and Sunday, and then maybe 2 weeks from now, another Saturday and Sunday, so is it 14 total? Just, it can't be more than 14 consecutive?
Just consecutive.
So what if you don't?
Consecutive is all in a row.
Yeah, so if
Right.
I camp for 2 days, and then on Saturday, Sunday, I put it up for 2 weeks, then I pull it back out and give for 2 days, I can do that up to 14 days, as long as I'm putting it away.
Is that consecutive?
Correct.
Right, so you're saying as long as I'm not hitting that 14 benchmark, it resets the clock every time?
That's.
No.
Understand.
No. Because then you could do it for 100 days, as long as you didn't have consecutive.
14 consecutive.
So you stay in your camper on your property for a weekend, that starts that 14 consecutive day clock. You stay for 2 days, and then the time just runs out, and then you have to come get a permit for 15 more days. But it's a camper on your own property.
That's the way it is. Otherwise, you go all year long. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Hi, Jill Sharping.
Yes.
My question is, I have my cousin come in from out of town, they're gonna put their kids in the camper overnight, okay?
Yes.
Kids are having a blast out there, doing what Hamlin people should be doing, okay? Now, did I lose the rest of my use for that whole year? Because I'm not gonna use it for the next 13 consecutive days.
Right. it's
The
clock
way I
starts-
read it is, nobody can stay for 15 days in a camper. That's the way I'm reading it right now. They can't stay for 15 days.
That's what our intention was, right, to keep it, nobody
Right.
stayed more than 14.
Right, that nobody took up residency in their camper. You know, they can't stay more than 15 days. But yet my Aunt Sally can come in August, Uncle Bill can come in January, or whatever, July, and stay a quick weekend and then be gone.
So basically, like, the first weekend of summer, you'd stay there a weekend, and that would run out your 14 days. And then your
As
stuff
of right
happens,
now, yes, that's the way it is.
so
Now,
then you have to
it's-
come to the town, ask for a permit, and that would only get you 15 more days. Then if you wanted more than that, you'd have to wait for a town board meeting to get maybe 15 more days if they approve it, and then you're done. So that doesn't seem like a lot. I mean, you go up and down Hamlin, there's campers in everyone's driveway with the slides out plugged in, that's, I would assume, used. You know what I mean? Like, it's getting to where
I know
you
what you
can't
mean.
use your camper on the weekends.
We didn't want it to be used on like every week, because then it could go over your 14 days, use it one day every weekend. You
But
could use it for,
The campers already
14 different
exist on our
weekends.
property, they're already there. So, but, you know, you put the slide out, you plug it in, the kids spend the night, have fun every weekend. I don't see the harm in that. It's not like anyone's staying in it for an extended period of time where it's, you know, being used as a living quarters for someone.
And I would assume in this situation, you know, the bathrooms are being used by the dwelling. You know, we don't have to worry about that. You know, everybody just wants their kids to go have a good time. Away from them.
Away from
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Separate out like a weekend. The intent was that if someone wants to live in their trailer, it can't be more than 14 consecutive.
But here's what's gonna happen, and we have a binder full of it. We have neighbors taking pictures of us and telling all of you that we're using our camper. They had a bonfire, they were using the picnic table. So I'm just curious what your response as a town board is gonna be if that happens. How are you going to determine what use is?
But you can't, because as it's written now, I mean, that would be illegal. We would have to uphold the law as written, right? Unless we go back and modify the law somehow to kind of take those kind of scenarios out and make it 14 consecutive days.
Maureen,
Restart.
have you heard some of this?
I came in halfway through the conversation, so. I'm
Do you
just-
have a sheet, Cheryl?
Yes, it's right here.
She was asking, well, I guess they show you that for a second. Then she's asking that she wants to use it, it says 14 consecutive days. They want to use it like for 2 days this weekend, let it sit for a couple of weeks, use it 2 days again. The law it says 14 consecutive days.
Does that
So,
prevent,
is that illegal to use
does that prevent
it?
2 consecutive days, or does it?
My understanding is the 14 consecutive days resets when I read the law.
So it says you can't occupy for up to 14 consecutive days. So you can't use it for, you can use it for 2 days.
Does the clock run then with this verbiage we
So
got?
now we only got 12 days?
No, you
It
can-
should reset.
Why isn't the verbiage clear that it would say cannot be used in a dwelling for 14 consecutive days?
In a row.
In a row. Plain and simple. That's it. Instead of all, the whole paragraph.
Yeah, that was.
So what, the way it reads, it says you can occupy it for up to 14 consecutive days without a permit.
Right.
So grandma and grandpa come, live in your trailer for a week. Fine. They can't live in your trailer for 3 weeks.
Right, and I
That's
get
what
that.
this law says.
My issue is, how does that work once they are, say they do stay there a week, and then they leave, slides get put in, it's unplugged, whatever. Does that mean that clock is still ticking for those 14 days, and I only, so
And
the
they
14
can't-
days
they
stop?
can't- They can stay in the trailer for 2 weeks.
Okay,
Not
They
15
can't stay
days.
for 13, for
So-
3 weeks.
so,
They stay in the trailer for 2 weeks at the beginning of the summer, they stay in the trailer at the.
so that clock does reset.
Yeah.
So the 14 consecutive days, if you only use 12, close it up, the next time you use it, that 14-day clock resets, starts again, correct?
No,
It just, you can't stay in it.
You can't live there, yeah.
Well, that's what we're looking at the law to see if we have to
We
read.
would have to take annual on that, because the next one does say annual.
Well, I thought that it said just for a year, so that's why.
Yeah, so, yeah. So if you wanted to do it that way, we would have to take that word annual on the next.
So which part?
C, on C.
C.
There you go.
Yeah, so I would just take the word annual out, that's what you're looking at.
That's logical, and we should be able to do that.
That's the only place in
So, all right, so it looks like we're gonna take care of that problem by taking the word annual out of there, okay?
Well, as long as it, what was just discussed is on record, I'm good.
No, it's right there on the, you can go on your computer and see it.
Well, that's what I'm saying, yeah.
But it's not, grandma and grandpa stay for 2 weeks, leave for a day, and then come back
Right,
for 2
no,
weeks.
no,
That's
no,
not what
no.
it means.
Yes,
Yeah.
no,
That's not what we're just
Yeah.
trying to enjoy our camper on the weekends
yeah.
occasionally, that's all.
Thank you.
That's why we have a public hearing to get this,
Yep.
to get it
Yes,
straightened out.
Yes, I
We read
appreciate
it, but
that.
we may
Thank you.
not get everything exactly right. Any other questions?
I think I'm good, thank you.
No, you're fine, those are good questions, we don't, that's why the public hearing. Stuff that we didn't see when we were writing these laws. All right then, Darren, no, Christine, I wanna close, request the town board resolution to close introductory local law number 9, public hearing for that.
Robert,
Yes.
Mail, Folko,
Yes.
Jaeger, Buzz.
Yes. Now the contentious. Yeah, if you're just for trailers, unless you wanna stay, you can leave or whatever. All right, chicken coop requirements. I don't know if all of you have read this, like I said before earlier, this does not pertain to anything greater than 3 acres. This is for less than 3 acres. This is what's going, we'll change it when we do the actual law later on in our meeting, but that is what this is for. We wrote in there greater than 2 acres before, we just, I guess, should have put between 2 and 3 acres, greater than 2 and less than 3. Just so that's cleared up, for any questions. Now, any other questions about the chicken coop? A lot of you must have read it and have questions. Just stand up and state your name, stand up and.
Rick Woods. So what you're telling me is I have neighbors on both sides of me. One has 5 acres, one has 15 acres. They can do whatever they want, but I gotta jump through hoops because I only have 1.5 acres.
Yes. Sorry.
That makes perfect sense.
It's,
Yeah.
with your neighbor so close to you with the noise and everything, we're doing it because of lot size. So that chicken on a 5 acre lot makes a lot less noise than you got people that are maybe 2.5 acres away from you.
Sorry, Erin Dibble, I
Yeah.
own chickens, I have more acreage, however, chickens produce about 60 to 70 decibels of sound, which is the same amount as a conversation being held between 2 human beings. So I think on an acre and a half, the decibels should not be overwhelming. Even a rooster is about 90 decibels, which is the same amount as a barking dog. And we're not putting limitations on barking dogs in the town of Hamlin.
Oh, yes, we are, actually. If you look at the dog code, there is no limitations on barking dogs. You can get a ticket for that.
I'm
So
just giving you the information, that's
I'm giving you
fact.
information too, that's okay.
There's, nobody's saying you can't, that you can't have chickens in an acre. It just stipulates the quantity.
So currently, the law says if you have a lot that's not 1 acre, you can't have any chickens.
So we're
This
trying
is
to-
allowing you to have chickens on a lot that's less than 1 acre. Currently, if you have a lot that is less than 1 acre, you have to come to the zoning board of appeals, pay for a public hearing, and come and listen to all public comments and get a variance.
We're trying to stop.
We're trying to
We're
stop
trying to
that,
eliminate that.
so that people who have less than 1 acre can have the chickens that they want.
Without going for a variance
2
and,
months of meeting.
and go in front of the zoning
Yeah,
board.
it's 2 months of the meetings that you have to
Basically,
come to the zoning
we're
board.
eliminating that step. That was the intention
of the law. So you didn't have to come in. Because half our zoning board is more about, so it's tied up with chickens.
I've dealt with them for a long
So
time.
we're trying to make it easier so you don't have to do that.
But we also put some teeth on this law because it didn't say, people have also come to us complaining there's rats around the chicken and there's, because people just throw food on the ground for the chickens, doesn't clean up good enough, and it does draw rats.
Particularly in the
So-
medium and high density
Right.
areas, and
So-
that's what we're concerned with.
But that's how we put more teeth in the law to, so that if there's a complaint, the building inspector can go and look at this problem. Cause your neighbor, if you have chickens and it just manure is that tall and there's food all in place and there's rats, your neighbor shouldn't be subjected to rats running around.
So,
So we're trying to help you get the chickens in one, but make you do it nice and clean on the other.
so you say you're a 1.5 acre neighbor in the middle of a 5 and 15. Your 5 acre neighbor and 15 acre neighbor have chickens as close as possible to the acreage of your property as they can. What makes it okay even though they have that 15
The
acres?
current law has setbacks.
So they have to be like so far into the property.
Yeah, I think it's 150 feet
Mhm.
from steps from the
Corner of
property.
the property, yeah.
10 feet.
It says
So
10
how
feet.
far out?
That's the,
10 feet's a new law.
the new one.
The current one, the current
Within
one
50
says.
feet of a lot line and 150 feet of any adjoining residence is the current law. Over 5 acres. Well, they can't just put their chicken coop right next to the lot line on top of your house. They have to move it away, yes.
All right, I'm gonna go for it. I'm Haven here. I have just over an acre, and current law says 10 chickens or hens are allowed on a lot of 1 acre.
Yes.
No roosters allowed on anything less than 5. And then here, I see that even if you have 1 acre, you have to decrease the amount of chickens, let's see where it was. It
To
says
6.
to 6.
Yes.
And then I do see where it's less, you can have it closer to your lot line. And then my other question is, where does this fee come from? Like, there's a fee, gonna be a license fee to own chickens for the right to have chickens, where there currently is not one.
Yearly.
Yearly. I'm feeding my
One-time
family.
fee.
It's a one-time fee.
And right now, if you wanna have chickens on a lot that's less than an acre,
Right,
you're paying a $75 fee for a variance.
right.
I don't think the fee
So
for
now
this
you
is gonna
don't
be
have to.
$75.
I don't,
You're talking less than an acre.
I have an acre,
Okay.
so I don't currently, now I have to go and pay for a license fee because I don't have more than 3. I have between 1 and 3. So now I'm gonna have to pay for a license fee.
It's a one-time fee and
I know it's a one-time fee, but I'm all about liberty.
Yeah.
It's a principle.
We're just trying to feed our kids.
I don't wanna pay to go
Exactly.
through the drive.
I don't wanna pay $12
But
for
I
an
still have to
18
pay-
pack of eggs again. I just don't. I don't
Well,
think,
I get it.
and I'm not on welfare, so I don't even collect that.
Inflation's
But you won't
going
let
up,
us
but
feed
our
our
wages
family.
are not going up.
We're talking about, I guess we can talk about, we can talk with our attorney. We're talking about this, you're gonna have to put a structure on your property to house these chickens, right?
Well,
Yeah,
it
but
says, well, because
Yeah,
now they
but-
can't free range, with the new law, they can't free range at all.
Yeah.
In the current law, let's see, let's pull up
We,
the current
no, we
law.
don't want to, anything less than 3 acre, we don't want to free range. Walk in your neighbor's
Right.
yard or
And
whatever.
mine currently don't, but, it doesn't, I'm reading a lot of the current law here, and I'm not seeing where it says that they have to be in
No, I'm saying that's why we changed it.
I know,
agree with you. We don't want them free ranging unless.
right, I don't want my chickens free range, because I don't wanna keep an eye on, I don't wanna lose chickens, I
Right,
don't wanna
and the box,
lose.
everything, but.
I'm trying to be a good neighbor, and I'm also trying to be a good person. to live
Hold
with.
on, wait a second, can we answer the one question first? Everybody be quiet for a second.
And I'm trying
I'm
to,
trying to, no, I'm
Yeah,
trying to
yeah.
answer your question about the money.
yeah,
Let's get into your first question.
okay,
We have talked about, you have a structure on your property and you get the license. We're gonna combine the both of those as long as it's legal with our attorney. Like at $25, you gotta come and inspect the structure to make sure it's 10 feet away from the lot lines and all that, right? So we have to send a person there that we're paying to do this. plus the license or whatever, it's gonna be like, we're gonna combine both of those for $25. So it's not to come and inspect the place and make sure that you're 10 feet away from the neighbors and everything isn't a huge fee. We don't believe. That's the answer to that question. All right, next.
I understand that there's an issue of fairness, right? That you're trying to be fair, you're trying to allow people in more medium density housing, higher density housing, right? The ability, the opportunity to have chickens. I am curious, so I'm on 2-ish acres of land. I'm completely surrounded by farmland. I have one neighbor way far away from me. There is no impact. So now I'm gonna have a reduction in how many chickens I'm A, allowed. B, now I have a fee that I don't have, and my chickens don't free range, right, so that doesn't impact me. But I'm curious in having maybe some better language to be able to help someone in my situation, right, because you're at 3 and above acreage. How many houses, I guess I'm curious, how many houses in medium density housing are 2 acres under, 3 acres under, right? This is a farmland community, farming community. You have done a really great job of trying to lower the amount of housing communities by making it 5 acres and more for new housing. I'm curious though, why 3 acres? And again, how many houses in the medium density or the smaller population housing are impacted and why 3 acres?
I'm sorry, I didn't get your name.
Katie, Scott.
So the law for the 5 acres was changed a couple years ago to 2 acres. So our lot size is now 2 acres and not 5.
2.5.
Well, which one is it?
Are you serious?
1.5, 2.5, 3.5.
But anyways, we came up with
Yeah, I was gonna say, so with the 2 acres, that's more in line with what our lot size, permittable lot sizes are. They used to be 5 acres, but we did decrease it.
But how many chickens do you want? You said you got 2 plus, you can have 18 chickens. How many did you want?
Well, in the current law, you have what, 25, I believe, 20, right?
20.
20?
20. So you can
I
have
have 2
18
ish,
according to
right?
this law.
So, again, I'm nitpicking, but I'm trying to understand, because I hear you saying that you're trying to be fair to smaller houses to allow them to have chickens, but at the cost of current chicken owners and at the cost of people who are in larger, that are not designated as a farm. At 2 acres, I don't believe I can be designated as a farm, correct?
No, you cannot.
Right, so I would pay a fee, I would designate myself as a farm, however, I can't.
Right.
And I'm not going through a process to change that. But I'd like to understand, as again, a farming community, why we're impacting a number of people, and I don't know how many people here who are very, obviously it's a contentious subject, as you mentioned, but how many of the current chicken owners that are here would A, be impacted by having to reduce their number of flocks? B, how many of these people that are here have more that are in medium density housing, that are in housing tracts, right? I get that you don't want housing tract owners having rats and having shambles, but this is a farming community. How many barns are in shambles?
Exactly.
I mean, in
buildings
fairness.
are falling apart.
So, but again, to stay on topic, how many people here, I'm curious, how many people here are the 3 acres and under versus the 1.5 and under, the 1 acre and under, right? I mean, how many people have under an acre? How many people here have 1.5 acres? One 1.5 acre. How many people here are 2 to 3 acres, right? Am I right? So do you see there's an impact here that's happening to people. And it's not just helping just the small acreage, but you're doing it at the cost of existing chicken owners and the 2 to 3 acre community.
I guess it's,
1 plus.
let me answer her first. I guess we have to put a limitation, I mean, can I make a law? Is there speed law for do the police have a law for everything that may happen out there? Every detail that may happen? No. Do we have a law to take in every detail that can happen out there? Probably not. You have to draw a line someplace and try to adhere and take care of 90% of the people. Can you take care of 100% of the people with any law in this nation? No.
Of course not.
I guess that's,
You can acknowledge the detriment that you're causing the rest of these people.
No, and I'm not opposed to revisiting the number to go back to the old code. You know, it was 10 chickens per an acre and 20 for 2 acres. And then,
But I think we picked those numbers because Ag and Market says you can only buy 6 chickens, chicks at a time. You
Yes.
cannot buy just 10. You have to buy
No,
6.
6 is the minimum.
Six is the minimum because I work and I know and I sell chickens, I know, it's 6.
It's
6 is the minimum. So you have to buy 12 if you want.
People are passionate about their number of chickens.
Yeah, like, it's chicken math.
Let's say
Chicken math.
1 or 2 chickens, age, right? Chicken math,
Or
exactly.
how
1 or
about,
2,
how about
3
that
chickens.
box comes out
Now
and
you
eats
have
half
6
your
now you're-
flock?
Oh, that
Right, so now you,
Wow.
there's those numbers.
The numbers that Ag and Market picked up.
Okay, 6 or under 1 acre, and then if you have big or 2.
Yeah, because there is, we call it chicken math, right? The chicken, but it is, the fact is that if you say 3 and you want to replace it to your flock, you have to buy 6, but now I'm already at my maximum, I can't replace until all of my hens die, which if you have, like in my case, I have older hens, that will stop laying. What am I going to do with my older hens? I can't replace my flock, and now I went through all of the time and trouble to do this for nothing. So there should be some
I
flexibility.
understand that, like, we know that the minimum you can buy is 6, right?
Yes.
So say like you have 3 hens die, say you had 6, you had 3 die, you gotta buy 6 hens, you have 9. The Gestapo is not gonna come after you because you got 9 because you have 3 hens die, unless your neighbor says, you know, what the.
But that's the problem.
That's not gonna
If it's on there, it's a law. We have a couple on there street.
That's a loophole.
There's a couple on our street too.
Can I make a law for every circumstance out there? No. There isn't a law that in this land that is ever.
I appreciate the consideration.
But we can, we can look at hardship cases, the town board can look at hardship cases and say, okay, your chickens died, we can make amendments, what would I call them? An amendment of, we can allow
Is
some.
that gonna cost someone to come in and have a meeting like that? Just like-
No, you just come to a town board.
Yeah.
It's free. You were first.
So Bill Holden, I live over on Brick Schoolhouse, same thing, surrounded by farmland. I get the tractor parade every year, so I get combines up and down the road, I love them. The one thing I can say that is good about what I read here is you guys giving access to chickens to less than 1 acre. And I think truthfully, that's the intent here, is to get rid of that, right? I think that's pretty agreeable. I think the impact though, where we overreach a little bit is beyond that, where we had code for that, because there are folks here who should be then grandfathered in at that point, not paying licensing fees that are plus 1 acre or already have chickens. I think it's a great idea for those medium to high density housing markets to have that inspection and make sure that we're following the code, because you're right, the impact there at that tighter populous level is much larger. But for those folks who are sitting on an acre, who already have chickens, who have not had any issues, this overreaches into their homestead, right?
Keep that thought. I'm gonna ask you, I just gotta ask her, Terry. Is this retroactive?
No.
I didn't think this was retroactive. So if you already got chickens, this law doesn't apply to you. This is for you.
This is for new.
So there will be no licensing, no nothing for those that already have chicken coops on their property, already have chickens. We're not monitoring for chicken quantities, we're not making them get building permits for existing coops. We're not even reporting them.
Now, if your neighbor complains about you, and the building inspector
Just the neighbor complaint.
right, like that becomes.
But if you're already following code and everything's there to code, there's no nothing, right? But I still think, I'm thinking about the future chicken owners, right? And I think the intent of the law is good. But I think that that's where we've overreached, is we get past that 1 acre, okay? I love the idea of getting more and more chickens. We reduce landfill waste, we teach our kids, we're self-sustaining. That's awesome. But I think it should be, when you're talking to those medium, high density, that's fine, because they're the ones that are gonna impact their neighbors. When you're out in that rural country like where we live, There's no impact.
Except for the foxes.
If I could just I'd like to make a comment to one of the situations that is in the past, when they've gone in front of the zoning board to get a variance for chickens, and correct me if I'm wrong, Maureen, the variance stays with the property.
Sure.
So this way, the variance, when you go in front of Cheryl, one of the reasons we also address this law as a license and not a variance is so that
To the owner.
it doesn't stay with the property, it's just specific to the owner.
And I think that's great. Again, I think that limits your impact to your neighbors in that medium high density. I think that's fine personally. Because if I chose to live in a housing tract and I want to have chickens and I want to make sure that I'm being okay with my neighbors and following the rules and making sure I have code that protects me, right? That makes sense. But I chose to live out in a rural country where I've got farmland and tractor parades, and that's what makes me happy in my life, right, and my kids. So I think that's where, if we could look at this to accomplish the goal that you set out to do, which is give access to those medium high density, that's great. But we need to pull back that code that hits those larger properties, that 1 acre plus that already have chickens. That would be my impression.
Maybe make it a suggestion where if you don't have neighboring houses within so many feet or so many miles, it doesn't apply to you then. Like if you're surrounded by fields, who cares? It doesn't affect anyone, right? Because there's no community around you to be affected by rats, chicken noises, food, whatever. You know what I mean? So maybe incorporate that into the verbiage that suggests that if you only live on 1 acre, but you have no houses within this vicinity of you, this does not apply. You know what I mean?
I definitely agree that it should be sub 1 acre. That's where you should be focusing your effort.
And that's,
So perhaps looking at this, if we just wanted to address the less than 1 acre, this could apply to an acre or less. And then the current code could apply to anything
Acre
1
plus.
acre and higher.
1.1 and
We're not
above.
limiting someone who's over an acre, but now we're giving access to someone who's less than an acre.
I think that's great.
I think that's great.
Okay, and then my name's Erin Ryan. Can we touch base on the whole rooster situation? Because if we don't have a rooster to protect our flock, we're starting with our numbers all over.
Well, anything over 5 acres could have a rooster, that's the law.
in the current code.
So that would
Okay,
stay
so,
current.
okay, so the going forward, what are we looking at?
That would stay
Why?
in the current code.
Wouldn't it
As
be dropped to
is.
3 acres, as per what you were saying earlier? It would be 3 acres plus? Or would we keep current code?
For the roosters, we're gonna stay with current code 5 acres.
Okay.
Just because Parma, I don't know if many of you, how long many of you have lived around here, remember about Blackie the rooster over in Parma? Where it was on Channel 10, Channel 13, on news stations and everything, and the town got sued and every other thing. We're trying to stay away from that issue. Your hands up.
So, when you go and buy chickens, when you buy the little chicks, they are not sexed. So you go and buy 10 chickens, and you end up with 3 or 4 roosters, then what are you supposed to do with the roosters? Because it also says in here that you're not allowed to slaughter the
Yeah.
That's what the
That's a
license-
good point.
That's what the license fee money for, they're gonna build a slaughtering station.
Even if they say it's sex, like, no people that. No, I know, when they're young like that, you don't, I agree, you don't know if it's a rooster or it's not, or.
You
I
can
agree.
bring them back there.
I can bring it.
I don't know, what
We'll
have people
slaughter
been
them for
doing
you.
up
I'll
until
do
now?
it.
Buy chickens.
And my point is, you'll eat it at least.
I mean, that's the current
We've
code.
been, we've been making them get rid of the rooster at the current thing, and whether they take it to a farm, I think they've been taking them to farms or whatever.
Or the dinner.
Or the
Why is it gonna be?
And whether the farmer slaughters it or not, I don't know, but you take it to a farm.
Why can't you slaughter your own chicken? You paid for the chicken, you're paid
But
for
that's
the
what some
meat.
people are doing now.
You wanna be able to, I don't wanna just give it away to somebody else out here.
You'd be somebody else's problem.
As
Right.
long as no one
It's
sees.
very difficult.
That is true.
It is very difficult.
Again, I think if you roll it back a little bit to your
Sub 1
definition of, right, and again, if I was in a housing tract, I don't want a rooster next to me either, and that's, fair. But at 2 acres, I wouldn't mind having a rooster, I don't have anybody around me anyway.
You choose to live out in farm country, that 1 acre plus, you're gonna have farm animals, you're gonna have cabbage smells, there's things you have to expect living out there. So an owner, exactly, an owner having to slaughter a chicken in their backyard is part of farm life, right?
What if
But
a
again,
fox does it in your backyard anyway?
it
Or a
happens.
coyote?
We try not to, but it happens, but again, if we're looking at sub 1 acre in those medium, that's maybe where you say that slaughtering process isn't outlawed, it's just you gotta be discreet about it. But again, that's where your code, if we can limit it down that way to give, because we're giving access, we're just making sure that the surrounding community is impacted.
And the reality is not that I want to speak for everyone, but a lot of people who are in the smaller communities, they bought chickens because they want some eggs and they're not looking to do the full-blown process. But people who are on larger land, larger property, right, they want to have dinner, they want to have eggs
But even
beyond.
in the smaller areas, because my other concern is if something happens to your chicken, you know what I mean?
You do have to take care of
You
them.
have to take care of them, and under this thing, this is my only big concern, under this thing, if I've got a chicken that, you know, it's prolapsed, or something's happened to it, am I expected to let this chicken suffer until it eventually dies? Or do I do the humane thing and cull it, so it doesn't have to suffer? So, because under this, I would think that I would have to let this poor chicken suffer until it eventually dies from whatever.
Do we just take that out of the code, or is that?
Slaughtered, or you could put no slaughtering on 1 acre or less. Or just take it out.
But that doesn't cover my concern, right? So let's say I have a chicken and it prolapses, right? And I'm under an acre. So now the expectation is, by that wording, I can't cull that chicken. So now that
You
chicken,
could take the chicken in the garage and kill it.
Just as long as no one sees it.
It's a, like, under an acre in a dwelling.
that's something you want to do outside. That's not something. Well, that's why I'm trying to, that's something you want to do outside.
It's a farming community, but again, you're in a housing tract, you have to call a chicken, you're probably not gonna be like, hey kids, come on over and watch me call a chicken, right?
Yeah, right.
There's some,
I mean, that would probably be the exact opposite here.
No way.
Hi, okay, hold on, let me talk. Hi, can I branch off of that? Please. Anyone? Okay. Okay, I have questions in response to the slaughtering of chickens, because not everybody buys laying hens. When they go to buy chickens, they buy meat-producing birds, so you're expected to bring 6 to 10 to 12, however many acres you have, all of those chickens into your house, slaughter them on your counter, whereas it's more sanitary to do it in your backyard. You want us to bring where our children are, into our house, instead of behind our backyard.
You're asking indoor weather versus outdoor slaughter.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't get your name.
Sierra May.
Yeah, I would just. It is promoted. It's slaughter. They can slaughter in their
It's your law, you can do whatever you want with
Did I say my backyard? Somebody needs to go in the basement. Oh my god, I was like, oh, I really thought my backyard. No, he said that.
So is that?
And then have to wait a year to get
I do.
another 6.
I think we all want to be backyard here. I think we all want to be. And I think it's not like I leave it there.
According to our town board, what we think, we're just gonna remove that line.
Yeah, I don't think people are gonna try to like slaughter the chickens in the end of their driveway to put on a show.
The school bus comes by.
Okay, and then, so my continuation then onto the commercial of that is if somebody that has 3 acres wants to put a little stand at the side of the road, following all of the laws, having it 15 feet away from the road, are they allowed to sell their eggs? People sell their eggs to pay for the feed.
The town board doesn't want to, we didn't put the selling of eggs in there because all of a sudden. But we didn't want to have okay selling of eggs because of health concerns.
What happened if an egg is not in good shape, it's a rot, somebody eats it, gets sick or whatever,
But I think what you.
and the town board and we allowed it, then technically that person who got sick can come back on the town board and sue the town.
Right, but what stops them from complaining about rotten food that people are selling instead?
You know a chicken thing?
Is everybody that's got a farm stand going by New York State law?
But that's not for your job, is it? I mean, if it's law, like.
To keep it cool and everything? You're supposed to, yes. I understand you're supposed to, but does everybody? Are we gonna prosecute you for selling it? I don't know. I don't know, we're not gonna try to do that, but.
An acre or less than the acre and above would remain as the current code.
Which makes sense for your part.
It is what it is.
It is what
Alright, hold on. Hold on, people. So stipulate, put in there, she's asking, can we stipulate that to do it by, according to New York State code, the keeping of eggs and everything?
I just, so if it's against the sanitation issues of it, so what prevents somebody from selling like rotten squash or rotten corn at a 2-acre roadside stand, whereas somebody with a 5-acre stand could do that? Does that make sense?
And you realize.
It does, but we're not saying that you can just go ahead and do it, so I guess we're just gonna, I don't know, we're just not gonna put it in there, you can't put it in.
There's a lot of people, I mean, driving up and down even just 19, how many people sell eggs on the side of the road?
Like every other house.
I don't think any of them are doing it to try to like give people rotten food.
We can put that as to the current code, stipulate to the current code.
So if we put this new law as applying to only under 1-acre properties, we take out the part about the culling of the chickens, you pull your chickens wherever the heck you feel like culling your chickens.
Yeah.
You sell your eggs as long as, not, if you have less than 1 acre, you're not selling eggs, because we don't wanna hit 6 stands, you know, and have the stands out there. Does that work for everybody?
No.
So that's what we wanna hear from, because we've kind of gotten to this point where, you know, we're trying to find a happy medium for everybody, and that's currently where we're at. So if there is more discussion, and those don't meet you, then.
What's the other discussion? Go ahead.
Kyle Felker, that's, 0.51 acres, got a variance for 5 years with $75. So the math of the new license, you have to get one every year.
You don't have to get one.
It's one time and you're done.
One time.
One and you're done,
It's okay.
after the 5 is.
For
my 5 is.
say $25, you once and you're done.
But you gotta build a new.
For any new,
Well, for 5 years, but then it's when 5 years variance is up, do I have to apply for a license?
Yes. But then that's it, but then, once you do apply for it,
Your license is good.
your license is good
as
for
long
as
as
long
it's
as.
Okay.
Could he transfer over, could he transfer over his variance into a license, since he's already paid $75?
But he's gonna have to come back in 5 years and pay another $75 if he wants to.
No, I mean,
So he's got 5-year variance, being that I've already paid the $75, and it was just last year that I got the variance.
Right,
To a license in 5 years.
Prorating it.
that's up to the town
Yeah,
board.
I mean, unfortunately, we could go back 8 years and try to refund money from people.
Not refund it, just give the license for everybody on the book.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
If you already have the chicken and stuff, I guess you can come before the town board, whatever, and ask us.
We're just waiving the permit.
We're just gonna,
Because we've already
it would
got
just be us waiving the permit, the license fee, so.
super easy.
It wouldn't cost you another penny, and if the town board agreed, yeah, we can do that. Since you already paid for it, you're already got it.
Where do you draw the line? Well, that's their point, right?
Like, once you have them, once you pay that permit, I think you should be grandfathered in and be
Well,
done.
that's what they're saying.
That's what
Well,
they're
like,
saying.
yeah, you got a 5-year.
Well, the way I'm listening to it is they want you to pay it every 5 years.
No,
No.
You had a 5-year variance.
Okay.
So that's where that 5 years came in. When you go pay the $25, that's it, you're done. Rest of your life, you're done. You paid your $25, you're good. But they're gonna waive his, because he already paid.
If you already got the
$75.
chickens, if you already had it, we can come before the town board meeting, read, ask us permission, you already got chickens, you had a variance, it ran out, whatever. We can, it's a town board's decision, we can waive that fee, just grant.
So the 1 acre and under required.
Yes.
Hey, Phil Thomas, I got a beautiful 120-year-old house right in town, love it. I've had chickens for about 14 years in that spot. Just had them, I always had the birds, I've always raised them. I got 3 gardens in the back, I take care of the compost. I am, huh? I got kids. So, I now, because my neighbor had to get chickens, and she wanted them and got a variance, I kinda got sucked down the drain. Because I'm coming next Monday in front of you guys for my own variance. So I'm kinda wondering, where so now where do I fit in? Because I've had chickens forever, even though unknowingly.
So you've been non-conforming up until.
I've been a wonderful town member for 40 years. In the town truck, and as soon as I done plowing the driveway, put it right back in the front.
It's like
So I don't really wanna tell you how many I got.
No, that's fine.
I don't really want the numbers you guys are pushing. But, I love my chickens. I researched the ones I got. I've had them for years.
You named them?
I take care of my chickens because I love them. I raise a garden because I'm trying to give my kids a better opportunity or a better,
I understand, we
nutrition
got a
day.
town board meeting coming up too, let me answer your question. No, you're fine, I'm gonna answer your question right now.
No, you're good. Still mad at you about the snow.
It's already on the agenda, paid the $75.
No, he has not, he has never shown up to 1 meeting.
With this, us passing this new law.
Okay, so.
No, I'm gonna ask our attorney, with us
Okay,
passing
no,
this new law, hold on.
No, you're good.
With us passing this new law, does he need to go there? Can he just get once he passes this law, can he
Well,
just
if
get a
we're
license?
changing
instead?
this, we have to do another public hearing. We just can't change this, we have to redesign the law, republish it.
I'm okay with that.
And have another public hearing.
So,
No, that's okay, I'm just asking.
More room.
and then, in my own defense, I was waiting for something from the town, and I got it from you last week, and I plan on showing up next week. But I thought when
I sent 3 letters to you.
I only got one.
Well, sent
I
three
swear, I
letters
only
to
got
you,
one.
and this is like over a month ago, you never responded. And
Because I
you did-
thought
you
you were-
submitted and filled out your application, which is great. You did.
I did, and then I was waiting for you to come back to me with something, and I didn't hear anything. I didn't. I'm not.
All right.
If you got lost in the mail, whatever. I got the last one.
All right, hold on. Don't worry.
I'm not afraid.
No. Can he, I know he's not conforming right now, but he has been for 40 years, it sounds like.
I would have to look in when the last chicken law was put into place, and I can't do that right this second. If it was in place prior to the 40 years ago, he's out of conformance, is not pre-existing non-conforming. If it was if it was 20 years ago, he's pre-existing non-conforming, there's not a problem. But I want everyone to understand that anytime you come into the town and you have a pre-existing non-conforming, issue with you have to bring it current if you want to do something on your property. So if you're pre-existing non-conforming and you just keep doing what you're doing, you're fine. But the minute you want to do something new or need a building, you have to bring your property into current code. Okay? So again, if
I'm not
the-
doing anything, so just keep
No.
on.
But if this law was, if this chicken law was passed, 20 years ago, that's in the current code, you're pre-existing non-conforming if you've had chickens for 40 years. Okay, you can continue to do what you're doing. But if this law was passed 50 years ago, and you've only had chickens for 40 years, you've been out of compliance for the last 40 years. Okay, so we'll have to look and see what year that law was passed.
So I
Okay.
guess what she's also saying is hold off with the public, with the zoning hearing. Let's see what, no, we'll talk, she'll be fine. We know now and we'll come and talk to you, whatever, about when this new law does get made and everything, and we can save you $50 at least.
Great.
We just don't know if we need a variance or a license now, so we're just trying to figure out where.
No, right now you're in limbo.
We have.
But we're not gonna take your chickens away or anything right now either. We're gonna wait till see the new law and stuff.
I was
Yes,
gonna say, I probably crashed.
yes,
Oh, me?
no.
No, I was gonna say,
Hey,
Behind you.
I'm Norm Bonds, I'm with the zoning board. I just want to make a quick comment. We've been doing this for quite a few years. This year, we probably had 10 public hearings, variances for chickens. Out of the 10 are less than 1 acre. We've never had one over an acre. These are all folks live like this gentleman, they live right in town, they live in 80-foot lots, 90-foot lots. I personally think this code is going to help them. It's really simplified. They might have a little tweaks here and there, but I believe they'll, and it's $75 if you're coming from an house and 25 of theirs. It's $50 difference. Plus, you don't even have to take 60 days to go through zoning, so I think this will work out fine. I know there's a lot of, I'm not a fan of Facebook and all this stuff, but there's a lot of misinformation been put out there that creates a lot of problems that really aren't there.
Right.
Honestly, they're not. And as
Yes.
far as the longevity of the people we give these variances to, within 2-3 years, a lot of them are gone because chickens die, pure and simple.
Yep.
And they create problems, we all know that. And when I hear people say, I can slaughter them, well, there's very few people in this room that can slaughter their own chickens, trust me. Especially if they got little kids.
Take them to veterinary.
I lived on a dairy farm for a while.
So my name is Sarah Pelly. So I have a quick question. I get that you're trying to keep the variance and the licenses low. However, where do we draw the line? So we have to register our dogs, we now have to register our chickens. What about those that have horses, cattle? Are they paying a fee for those too? Why is that?
Horses and cattle as far as what? On
Well, like
how
just-
many acres? Because unless you're a farm, yes, you have to pay the $75 fee to have
Okay.
horses and cattle.
Okay.
So, yes. But if you're on a farm, you're covered by New York State
Okay, what if,
markets.
is
so you don't have
it
to
gonna
worry
be a
about it.
different animal next year, or is it just?
No,
Okay.
not unless, this is just chickens. It's
Wait a minute, so I can have my horse on a half.
For less than an acre.
Guess so.
It's less than an acre.
$75?
So if I have less than an acre, I can bring my horse home?
No,
No, you cannot.
the current law states, which we're not discussing tonight, the current law
I
states
understand
what
that.
you can do with a horse on so many acres. But that's not the chicken. We're not talking
But
about.
what
the
she's
horse.
asking is we have to pay for our dogs, then we have to pay for our chickens, now are we gonna have to pay for our pigs and our cows and our horses? That's what she's asking.
If you want to have on a certain amount of acres, you have to go before the zoning board to have horses and pigs and stuff on less than what a farm is, so yes, you have to pay a $75 fee.
So I can
So
bring
I
my
get that
horse
you're-
home on an acre or less.
No.
So I get that you're trying to keep it low, but it adds up. So every animal you have, it's like you're paying a fee for every single animal you own.
Exactly.
That adds up. When you're already up in taxes.
Yes,
Yeah, love the adjustment.
it's, I say, this is not the chicken, we are not talking about horses and stuff, so I don't know
It's
what's
just
else.
frustrating because it's like every single animal that you own is like you're paying a fee for everything.
If I-
And it's low, but it adds up.
If I could simplify it, the way the code was before this, you would have to go in front of the zoning board and pay a $75 fee in order to get a variance. this simplifies that, so the $75, you don't have to go in front of the zoning board, you don't have to wait 60 days, there is no public hearing. You go see Cheryl, it's a $25 fee, and you're done. So,
Does it cover
So
everything?
it's more, what you're saying is it's more streamlined.
that's right.
It only, no,
Right.
the $25 only covers chickens. There's separate laws for horses and stuff. I said that, but that is not what we're talking about
This
tonight.
is, this specific, it's covers, the license covers the total amount of chickens, not each individual.
Right.
Yeah.
The license is for you to have however many chickens you're allowed.
It's not like a dog license
No.
where you have to go and.
So you have 20 chickens, so, yeah, it's for you, not for chickens.
No.
It's just one time.
That's what the modified law
Is that for?
Yes.
Hi, I have under an acre of land, we had chickens for 10 years. And yes, I did go to a town meeting and got a variance, but
Okay.
it's been up. But I've been selling eggs to the same people for 10 years. I have under an acre, I have about 3/4 of an acre. I've never had a complaint about a bad egg.
Is it a roadside stand?
Yes, it is. But it's the same people that come all the time.
It's gonna be better for
No, he
It's
said that we're,
Yeah, for over an acre, we don't care about outside stands.
she said, she's asking for under an acre. The comment was made earlier for over an acre, but now she's asking us to revise that and do under an acre. You can still sell.
It's like right with my vegetable stand, there's a refrigerator, a little refrigerator there for the eggs.
I will say in fairness,
If you're selling eggs, you're selling eggs. I guess I don't care how many eggs it is. If you're selling I guess, right, I don't care how many eggs you're selling eggs, you're selling, I guess.
You know, I can do this,
Just going on that section under restrictions E, the selling under an acre, if you could maybe define commercial purposes, it might help those for under that acreage.
But we just said we're
They're just
allowing everybody.
You're gonna fix this? Okay.
Yep,
That was,
no definition needed. Anybody else wanna add anything?
Cause we're gonna have another meeting anyways with our changes.
Change everything.
so anything over an acre would not require the licensing, the coop inspection, any of that stuff. You're
It'll stay
removing
exactly
ag,
the way the current code.
for current code.
Anybody with a variance
You're
now.
gonna add that rooster in though for an acre and over, right?
So here's another thing on the
Variance, now we're
rooster.
gonna front of the board and get that fee for those that are less than an acre.
I think that's reasonable.
So I live right in town, right behind McDonald's.
Yes.
I hear a rooster every morning at the break of dawn. No, it's a rooster. I know. No, it's a
You're
rooster.
more than welcome to complain.
Yeah, I don't
Cheryl will be out there at 4 AM.
I'm in the country, I expect to hear that stuff.
dogs bark back at the pocket, roosters don't.
I'm not even sure, I know it's close, like I said.
Yeah, we do have a couple of roosters on our radar right now, so. One more question, then we got a break.
Ken Lyons, I have a question about, as far as if you have an issue and the code enforcer, inspector comes out, are you gonna be notified before they come? And the only reason, I don't have an issue, I just bought a brand new coop to replace my old piece of crap. But if you happen to come out to are you gonna give a warning that you're coming out? Because I know those of us who have chickens, we are all aware of bird flu.
And if you go and visit someone else's coop, and then you come and visit my coop, you could transfer that. And I'm not losing chickens.
I am not allowed to go on people's property unless I call them first and I'm invited in. This was-
But we will call you first with all what's going on with the shootings and stuff and the people robbing and all that. We don't want our inspector to be shot or whatever.
I wouldn't do that, but I'm just concerned for the
We'll notify first. All right, we are going to end this public hearing since we gotta have another one anyways, people, because I'm already 20 minutes late for town board meeting. We're gonna change the law with a lot of what your comments are, thank you.
Thank
We are gonna change a lot of these laws, but I All right. So I request council resolution and this public hearing on chickens.
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. We have one more public hearing.
We'll be back. Chicken war.
All right. Now we're gonna have another law, introductory local law, number 6/023. Local law provides Is anybody here to comment on the question of the call enforcement? Seeing that nobody is here, I would like to request town board resolution to close the public hearing on introductory local law number 6/023.
Yes. Fail, yes, welcome, yes, Hager.
Yes.
Because I got an enclosure that goes with it, whatever. Okay, right there, thank you, yeah.
Yeah, take a break for a minute. Oh, we got to close the public hearing. Request town board resolution to close the public hearing at 7:20.
Yes.
You got it.
Well, yeah, because I actually, we did the permit for the last year, and also probably, we said we wanted to put it at a full education with the family.
No, you just,
You got it. You got it. Keep with it.
Yeah, might as well. I'm already sitting there, as they say. I don't know what it is. She tried to jam off the break.
Good job, though.
I know. Man, oh man, you
Not
take
bad.
forever to get something done.
Did you cancel the flight?
If I'd have known that yesterday, I'd have been drinking beer.
No, I wasn't.
I'd been drinking whiskey yesterday if I'd known that.
That's all I need. Yep, I got
Three,
Well, you know, what's 90% of everything? Don't insult the neighbors, knowing you're Rule number one, if your neighbors are happy, everybody's happy. There you go. Now you just kick the man's feet up.
Push it down.
Zoning board meeting is whether or not the neighbors
I'm going back to zoning, these people, they are goofy. I'm bored, they think I'm.
We have to have a public hearing now because there's so many changes that we made.
So you're an acre,
I think 10 chickens a week.
Thank you for your comments. Appreciate it.